Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Say that way so I won't miss nobody.
You miss me, I want you to call me by my name.
Good evening, Ms. Harris. How you doing? Hey, how you doing? Ms. Reed, how are you doing?
Good.
Reverend Jackson? Counselor?
How you doing?
Good. Ms. Harvey? Everybody?
Don't ask me.
So well?
Did you see my TV?
Yeah. Good morning. Good evening. How you doing?
Just ask me the same.
You got a wit.
And I can't go to Washington because I don't approve that.
Oh, you got it going on, girl.
To the DR. So look, I see this way. Next year.
Mr. Bond, the only one that was missing was this meeting. I did get the other two.
I'd like to call to order the July 19th, 2016 regular called board meeting, Fairfield County School District Board of Trustees. There has been appropriate public notification as we received last week and confirmation of a quorum. We have 6 members present at a time. We'll entertain a motion to enter executive session for legal, contractual, personnel matters.
So move, Madam Chair.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Miller, Mr. Fred. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We will adjourn to executive session, which will end no later than 6:30. All over.
Come on with me. How you doing? Looking good?
I believe it was. I think so. It wasn't my case, so.
I know, it's a different.
No, I think you covered it as it occurred.
Over here, my grandson making bracelets.
Oh, yeah? Well, not a Clemson bracelet, though.
No, you
Oh, yeah.
He started his cooking.
Yeah.
He's making. Yeah, he's making.
Yeah, should bring it back and go.
Okay, I will. What color you want?
Black and gold. Much lower, that much.
$7.
Big money now.
Well, you can pay it. I'm gonna call him tonight. He might have it ready.
Do it. No, I got one.
Well, I get it. Yeah.
I'll get it. Entertain a motion to exit executive session during which no action was taken.
So move, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
I second.
Thank you, Ms. Harrison. Exit executive session, 6:26. We'll move again to the welcome. Welcome to the July 19th. Oh, I'm sorry, we forgot to vote. It's my fault. It's blown on bed. Those in favor of exiting executive session, signify by saying aye. Sorry about that. Thank you for the reminder. Moving again to the welcome. Welcome to all those in attendance, July 19th, 2016 regular called board meeting. We'll move forward with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we'll remain standing for a moment of silence and reflection. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to the approval of the agenda.
Madam Chair, make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second that, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Fred. Mr. Miller. Those in favor of the approval of to approve the agenda as presented, signify by raising of the right hand. Got 7. Thank you. Public comment.
Madam Chair, unless I've missed it, I've received no public comment for this evening.
Thank you. We'll move to D, board minutes from June 7th, 2016. The superintendent recommends the board approve those minutes as presented.
Madam Chair, make a motion to approve the board minutes from June 7th, 2016.
Thank you, Mr. Fred.
Second that, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Any questions or discussion?
Madam Chair.
Microphone, please.
I don't know which section it is. The section that we were talking about, the,
What section is that?
the section that we were talking about, the information that Ms. McDaniel wanted to receive. On the minutes, it stated that it was incorrectly, as far as what Mr. Frick stated. He stated that he would take, this is what was on the minutes. It said he would take the report, and what's correct is he would go with it, which he was, my understanding was taken as he agreed with giving her the information. So that's incorrect. Also, I wanted to confirm, I don't know how we need to do this, or if you can advise me, on the trips. The motions did not state that it was only for the trip and not for funding in the motion. So
But there's no mention of funding. The approval is for the trip only.
Okay, so I would like to put on the record that I voted for the trip to, for both trips, only for the trip itself and not for the funding. And I'm assuming Dr. Green will come back to the board if we needed funding for it, for approval for that at a later date, if needed.
That would be correct.
Dr. Green? Is that correct? Thank you. So I wanted to put on the record, please, that that was the reason I voted for it. Thank you.
Right. We can't add that to the minutes now, Ms. Hartman.
Well, you know how it wasn't really worded at the end, you know, as far as saying it was only for the trip.
Well, but it is. That's the explanation. But we can't go back. We're not going back and correcting minutes based on that statement. We voted for or against the trip, period, not funding at all. That's the clarification.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, relative to Ms. Hartman's question is, I'm not sure what she's really asking, but if I'm understanding her correctly, something was stated in the meeting relative to a motion, and she is requesting that that statement be reflected in the minutes that was made at the meeting.
No, what she's talking about.
Yes, what I'm saying is it was stated several times, twice, was this asking for funding? And you addressed it, Dr. Green, that it was not any funding, it was only for the trip, for them to go, permission to go.
Correct. And that's
So
what
can
it
that be
states.
put in the minutes?
That's what it states. It does not talk about funding at all. It is approval for the trip.
But could it be reflected in there stating exactly that?
It
added
already
to that.
is. It does not address funding at all.
Can it state that this is not exactly what Dr. Green said?
No.
Why? There's other things in there that
Because
not put on the record.
we have already approved those motions.
But
We're
Madam
not
Chair,
amending the motion.
No,
at
I'm not
this
saying
point.
put it in the minutes.
but she's not asking for the motion, Madam Chair. The only thing she's asking is that because the question was asked in the meeting, which it was, and the question was answered in the meeting, and the question was germane to the motion, can that question and response be reflected in the minutes?
The question, I understand what you're saying. There's no addressing of funding in the minutes.
But why
So I
is it
think by omission, it is quite clear that funding was not addressed.
But why is it
So
a
let's
problem?
move forward.
But why is it a problem to have it in the minutes, since it's being requested that be in the minutes? It was a question that was asked, and it was germane to the motion, so I'm not understanding why it's a problem just to have it added to the minutes.
That is not the motion that we approved. We are not going back to last month's
But she's not
minutes to
asking you about the
reapprove.
motion, Madam Chair, she's not asking you about the motion, she's just asking can a statement and a question be in the minutes, and it should have been in there, because there's a lot of stuff in the minutes.
Okay. So that's an area of concern. We'll move forward with the vote. If the-
But is it a problem with that being added to the minutes?
Yeah, it is. Because
But
it
why is it a
adjusted,
problem?
because it's last month's minutes. These are the minutes of the meeting. There was no obvious reflection there about funding. So we're going to continue to leave it out. And as I said, by omission, it is clear that the vote was for or against the trip.
If it was
So
clear,
we're going
Madam
to move
Chair,
forward.
if it was clear, then she wouldn't have been asking the question.
Okay.
And that was for the Europe trip
That was for all of them, I'm assuming?
and then the senior trip.
Okay.
Those 2 trips.
All
And
right.
it was mentioned specifically, so why is there other things that people don't want to didn't put on the record?
I'm not
Put
sure
on the
what
record.
other things. We're going to move forward. We're going to move forward. We don't need to
Y'all
get hung
decide
up
what you
on the
put in, what you
minutes.
don't put in.
Superintendent
Madam Chair, I have some
recommends.
questions about the minutes.
Okay.
The motion that I made for adjournment was not, I moved, it's not a motion. I actually said that I would make the motion for adjournment. So that needs to be worded as it was stated, because that's what the actual motion was.
Okay, and is that really ultimately important? We'll move forward. Those in favor of the
Madam Chair,
minutes
I
from
still- I
June
still have
7th,
a question.
regular call board meeting, signify by raising your right hand. The approval of the minutes. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Opposition? 2. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I would like for my
Updates.
statement to go in the record, and I would like the record to reflect that once again, you're causing havoc on this board because you are refusing to assume your role as a facilitator, chair, and not as a person who's going to dictate what happens and what does not happen.
Daniel, this is where we went last time.
Well, we can go there again.
Well, no, we're not. We're not going
It's
there.
wrong. It's wrong.
Well, that's your opinion. You may vote
No, that's a
you may vote in opposition as much as you'd like. We will move forward with the superintendent's report.
Madam Chair, members of the board, a couple of things I'd like to update you on. First of all, in your board packet, you note that the state has provided some additional funding to pass along a 3.25% increase to bus drivers. This increase did not specify that bus driver monitors receive the increase as well. And quite honestly, a lot of districts do not have bus driver monitors. But because we have bus driver monitors, we have decided that we are going to pass that same 3.25% increase to our bus drivers and monitors. Also, I'd like to update you on.
Madam Chair, I have a question on that, so can I ask now, wait until?
You're welcome to answer now. Yes.
Madam Chair? So Dr. Green, are you saying that the state gave us the full funding for the 3.5? Or is the district going to pay part of that?
But the district probably have to assume some of it, particularly since they didn't include monitors.
So do you have the figures? Do you know what the figures are?
Yeah.
Is it possible we can get the figures?
I'll work on that.
Big one?
I'll work on that.
On getting us the information?
Yes.
The figures?
Yes.
And in the budget, did we have the a raise for the bus drivers in the budget?
No.
Nobody got a raise?
Again, I mean, not the 3.25.
No, I'm asking, did we have a raise in the budget for the bus drivers?
Everyone got a step increase, but not a raise, got a step increase.
So what was that percentage?
I don't know the percentage. Of the step increase?
Yes,
And that's just based on the salary schedule, this summer.
So the bus drivers and the bus monitors will get the step plus the 3.5,
Yes.
but the cafeteria workers and all the other folks, we're not giving anything in additional to them?
No.
Thank you.
You don't think it should be determined between the two of them because of the other employees?
Pardon?
You don't think it should be determined between what they already received and also what they're saying to increase it? Because of nobody else getting an additional raises? Since they already got some raise, right?
I don't understand the question.
You're saying they already got some raise in the budget, right?
I'm saying they got a step increase.
Right.
I'm pretty sure.
And I guess everybody's different because they're at different rates and steps.
Okay.
So can it be figured what that percentage is based on, you're saying, the state's saying it's supposed to go up so much, right? That they're giving it, them. Since nobody else is getting the additional raise.
Okay.
So you determine between what they already got versus what the state's giving them. You can't determine between that to where they get that amount and not more than that?
I don't understand your question, Ms. Altman. The state is funding a 3.25 increase. Is your question that you want to ensure that they don't get the 3.25 plus a step increase? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes, sir.
No.
Because the rest of them aren't getting extra.
No. Yeah, well, I don't agree with that. No.
Madam Chair, I would like for the record to reflect the information that I requested in the minutes, in the next 7 minutes that we give for today.
Can you repeat that, please?
I just want in the record where I requested the information from Dr. Green on what it was costing us for the 3.5 for the bus drivers and also for the monitors. The monitors and aides, the same thing?
Bus driver monitor and aid, not the same thing.
So we're doing aides too?
No,
Just the monitors?
bus driver monitors. It's the bus drivers and bus driver monitors.
Okay.
And so, Madam Chair, members of the board, the other thing I'd like to update you on is that, you know, we have been working on an initiative for the last several months that would develop some housing for current and prospective teachers in the district. We hope that this would increase our ability to recruit and retain particularly certified staff. You know, we've been having some conversations with some experts in the field, and so we're going to pursue maybe developing some 2 to 3 bedroom patio homes that would be done through more conventional financing. So I say more conventional financing, not looking at how we kind of fund traditional school district capital projects, because we'd be receiving, or not we, but revenue would be realized as a function of this initiative. So in other words, if we develop the housing, then those staff members who stay in the housing would be paying rent, and then that rent would go to cover the cost of the financing of the loan. I hope to be able to bring to you by next month a proposal where we go out to bid, where we ask some vendors to come in and give us some firm figures in terms of what it would cost to develop such a proposal. As I said, we've been having some preliminary conversations, and you know, I'm very optimistic about our ability to maybe pull something like this off. I think it'll go a long way in terms of getting some of the teachers who work in Fairfield County and are unable to find housing here to find a way to commit to moving here, which therefore creates more stability and quite honestly even helps the entire community by spurring our economic engine. So by next month, hopefully I'll bring forth at least the opportunity to make a proposal that we go out and put that project out to bid to see whether we can get some firm figures on what it would cost to really pursue such an initiative.
Dr. Henry?
Yeah.
Good question, just so we don't run into some issue that we ran into on a previous project. When you say put out for bid, can you tell us specifically what you are talking about?
Okay, and so probably what I'm gonna recommend, Mr. Frick, is that we pursue what they call the design, build, delivery method. And so what we would do is to ask firms who are interested in pursuing the project to give us some proposals and some firm figures on what it would cost to deliver the housing that we have identified. And so the design, build, delivery method kind of encompasses the architectural design and the construction all under one unit. So we go out for proposal, all we're doing is simply saying, if you're interested and have the capacity to deliver such a project, let us know what you would do it for. What would such a project cost? And then we have some firm figures to evaluate as to whether that is something that we're able to pursue.
Another quick question, I apologize. And you discussed this on the side in other meetings before. Do you have any examples that perhaps we could look at so we have some idea of what you're talking about and how it works?
But so, you know, there have been several districts and cities that have pursued such projects, Mr. Fritz. There's a project in Baltimore, there's a project in San Francisco, there's some projects in North Carolina. And one of two things kind of initiate, you know, such a move. In San Francisco, for example, and in New York and Baltimore and some other places, some of the issue was that teachers could not find affordable housing. I mean, the cost of living was so high that they felt they had to develop housing so teachers would find a place to live that they could afford. In some other rural communities such as ours, the issue was not affordability, the issue was access. And so there was not an abundance of housing available. So even though teachers were interested in living in said communities, they could not find the housing that they were comfortable with to move into. And so what we hope to accomplish, Mr. Frick, is that we can provide housing where teachers are excited about moving and being a part of our community. So to answer your question, there are some models that we have already explored and looked at in other cities and states as well.
I have a question. Where would this be? I mean, are we talking about district property?
Very good question, Pastor Jackson. The district owns a couple of property that we have been evaluating. We are also exploring some other options. I'll tell you, ideally, I would like to see it located on one of the properties that the district owns, simply because that alleviates any additional costs. So ideally, we'd like to see it located on some property the district currently owns.
Madam Chair, I've heard of a lot of private schools doing this, you know, and having their teachers with the students because they stay there, as well as the students and the teachers. But I've never heard of a school district doing it. So we're just getting pricing right now of what bids as far as somebody that would be interested in doing this and what the cost would be.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's what I think we'll probably propose by next month. I mean, right now, we've just been having some conversations with some people who kind of, experts in that field, giving us some ideas of some things that we could pursue. But I want to just clarify something you said, Ms. Hartman. You said that you've heard of private schools who do that so teachers can live with students. I want you to understand that we're talking about developing patio-style homes that teachers could rent, not that they're living with students. We're just trying to get them to move to our community, but it's no different than living in an apartment or a complex in Columbia or Rock Hill or Charleston, except we're trying to develop an initiative here where teachers can rent properties in Fairfield County. So it's not that they're living with students. That's not accurate.
Well, I understand that. I understand it's not living with students. I'm just saying that's the only place I've heard of it, as far as teachers, you know, the school getting involved with students. But I guess I listen to what's being said, but you know, I feel like we need to be putting our money into our students' education more than we are now, and getting them where they need to go, not doing something in rent for teachers where there's plenty of other people that get into rent, and let them deal with that, not the school district. We need to be putting our thoughts into educating our students. Thank you. I'd like to put that on the record, please, what I just said.
Okay. And so let me provide clarification again, Ms. Hartman. What the district is looking to do is to help develop the project, but the rent is not being paid by the school district. Let me be clear, the rent is not being paid by the school district. What we're trying to do is to pursue the development of it. The rent will be paid by the teachers.
Well, I understand that, but we'd have to pay to fix the buildings up and everything else to rent them, right?
No.
No. Okay, who's going to pay for the buildings to be fixed up
to be maintained?
Right, and
our plan is for all of that to be encompassed in the rent that you pay. No different than a regular apartment complex.
You're saying pay it back.
What do you mean pay it back?
Well, you're saying that on property we already own, correct? That property, doesn't it, going to cost money to do something with it? For them to rent?
You mean to construct a facility?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So that's going to cost the district money, right?
Well, and so what I'm saying is, my hope is, and we haven't gotten to the financing portion of it yet, Ms. Hartman. My hope is that we would pursue conventional financing, and then what would happen is, as we collect rent from the tenants, we take the rent that's collected from the tenants to pay back the loan that the district backs in order to construct the complex.
Right, which is what people that rent houses do, right? You know, they buy property and they rent the property, so that pays them back. So, yeah, I understand what you're saying. I just don't think our business is for the school is doing rent. But anyway, that's my opinion.
All right.
Thank you.
Madam Chair. Dr. Green, I know when Dr. Ingram was here, this is a project that she started to embark on, and I think that many of us thought it was a great idea. but, do you have any idea where she stopped at on it, on that project?
Right, have an idea what now?
Where she stopped at on it?
Well, what I was able to find out, Ms. McDaniel, was that at some point in time, you all were working with the University of South Carolina, based on information I was able to ascertain. You were looking at renovating the old district office to try to turn that into some living quarters for teachers. In terms of why it broke down, I really can't say whether it was the board or the university or the property, I don't know. But at some point in time, I think the chamber was involved, the university was involved, the district was involved, but the project never did move forward.
Yeah, I was more concerned with the status of it than whose fault it was, because it may have fallen down because of just changing superintendent, I'm not sure. But just if you was able to ascertain what the status of it is.
Well, and so what I was able to do is someone was able to provide me some information in terms of what legwork you did to kind of start the ball rolling. You know, I spoke to someone from the chamber. I did have a brief conversation with someone from the University of South Carolina, and so I didn't speak about England. But no one could really identify kind of where things ended. They just kind of ended and didn't move forward. But I'm optimistic that we can see it through this time. I think it provides a tremendous benefit.
Okay. And I still think it's a great idea as long as we know that if we're using district funding, that we're using district funding as it's been approved, and we've done all the research and necessary fact finding that needs to occur. But let me ask you one or two other questions on it. Have we done a survey of the teachers in the district and maybe even teachers that we interviewed to kind of get a general idea as to whether they really would move to our county?
And so that's a very good question, Ms. McDaniel. I've spoken to the teacher forum group, which is kind of anecdotal information, if you will. But I've spoken to the teacher forum group, and they have indicated that in their conversations with some of their colleagues, they find that people are very excited about the opportunity to move forward with such an initiative. I have spoken to the principals to do some informal surveys, not anything formal, about the interest in such a project. And so we have, and as I said, it's kind of anecdotal, but there appears to be quite a bit of interest from the people that we have spoken to through informal surveys. I'll tell you, probably before we would ultimately move forward, we would do some more formal surveys to see specifically how many teachers would be interested in moving forward.
Okay, good. Let me ask you another question. On the, I can see some people, and I don't recall hearing a lot of conversations when we talked about it before, but I know there's a lot of people's changes and moves and attitudes with respect to the money coming from BC Summer. But have we talked to like maybe county council or the town of Winsboro regarding the project? Because I know in I think the city of Columbia, they have like their own loan financing business where they will actually finance homes at, like you stated earlier, at a very low interest rate, and then they will pay back, so that the concern that Ms. Hartman expressed maybe won't be so such a distraction if we was working with the town of Winsboro or even the county.
And so that's a very good question, Ms. McDaniel. I have had some preliminary conversations with some members of the county council. We've not presented anything formal to the body, but I've talked to some individual members about it. They told me that they would be interested in maybe partnering with us on such an initiative.
Okay.
Once again, that's just some individual people, not necessarily the county as a whole. What I will say is, I would be more than willing to sit down with the county council and see about partnering with us on this initiative. But I don't want us to lose our momentum in terms of trying to make it happen either. And so sometimes, a lot of people want to talk and wait, evaluate, and things just never tend to move forward. That's my only concern about involving too many people, and not that I don't think the city and the county and all these people would be good people to bring to the table. But I want to just make sure that we can maintain our momentum in terms of moving forward. I'll tell you this, Ms. McDaniel, I shared this idea with the consultants who were contracted by the county council to do the strategic community renewal plan. And they said they thought this was an absolutely wonderful idea.
Okay.
As it relates to providing an opportunity to infuse some economic juice, if you will, into our community. As a matter of fact, one of the lead consultants said that he could see this as kind of a signature initiative that the entire county could get around, because it's beneficial to all the parties involved. So, we'll continue to move forward, and I probably won't, try to set up an opportunity to meet with the entire county until we have a little bit more details, if you will. Right now, I want to have some more specifics, in terms of the costs, and, I have some, just ranges of numbers based on people that I've talked about, but I want to have some firm numbers saying it costs this much. To me, what you think you can contribute to such an event.
Okay. And if I could just impose, whenever you do the next survey, maybe try to find out from them too what kind of other things they looking for us to have in the county, for them to move in, knowing that we tap in probably into some other people's areas, but it would be good for county council, genealogy department, or whoever, to know what other things that might attract the new teachers or the teachers we hire who may be willing to move in the county. So thank you for that. If you could just maybe keep us informed, I think it's a good idea.
Well, and to follow one other thing, I may have had some preliminary conversation with some board members just in passing, and you may be familiar with this, Ms. McDaniel, but the city of North Charleston is part of the Dorchester School District 2 to construct an indoor aquatic center. And this is something that has got quite a bit of publicity. But part of the arrangement is Dorchester 2 is contributing some funding, and the city of North Charleston is contributing some funding. And they're developing an indoor aquatic center. And what the district gets is, I think they're going to teach all third graders in the school district how to swim. And then they get use of the pool for all of their high school swim teams. And I've had some preliminary conversations with the new county administrator, in addition to a couple of county employees, the rec director, and some others, about maybe, and I say that because when you talk about what other things can we do to create more interest in being a part of our community, I think an expansion of what currently exists as it relates to recreational opportunities goes a long way to try to get people excited about being a part of living in Fairfield County. So, that's a whole nother initiative, but I think as we think a little broader about what recreation looks like, I think that improves the appeal for our county. And quite honestly, when I think about the fact that as much water as we have around Fairfield County, there is not a single place that a kid can learn to swim in Fairfield County is very distressing. I spoke to someone about 2 weeks ago who said, I'm trying to figure out where I can take my child to Columbia to learn how to swim. And I said, well, that speaks volume. With as much water as we have here with Lake Wateree and out there in Jenkinsville, that we don't have a place a kid can learn how to swim. So I think there's some things that we can do to expand some recreation opportunities as well.
Madam Chair, if I could just appeal one last thing to you, Dr. Green. And I initially had heard in the streets that we were looking at doing this. If you could maybe just, when you shoot us an email or something, kind of just let us know some of the stuff that's going on. And then when people come to us in the community, we can speak positive about it or try to, help motivate the community. But if we don't know what's going on, sometimes it just look kind of bad that the board members doesn't know. But keep up the good work on that particular initiative.
Thank you, Mr. McDaniel. I come up with a lot of ideas, Mr. McDaniel. Most of them don't work. Every now and then something works. But we'll just keep coming up with something.
Just share. Sometimes we might have to do something to help you make it work.
All right. Move on to operations and finance, unless you got.
Good evening. In the board package, you have the finance report for the month of June 2016. This is not the final report for the fiscal year, as it is the year-end report, and there are several adjustments that we do have to make to this report, but it is here for your review.
And I don't have a question on the report, Dr. Green, but once they finish putting all the entries and everything in, will we get the final report? Okay.
You mean for the, where we stand in terms of surplus or?
Yeah, because the audit part won't be available until, finished in November, yeah.
And so we had this conversation last year, Mr. McDaniel. I think after conversation with Kevin, we feel a little more comfortable presenting you with a figure after the audit is done, because that ensures that we're accurate and correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin. And, as opposed to presenting you with a figure, and auditors come in and then things aren't quite what we thought. And so, probably what I would ask the board to do is to be patient with us, and let's wait until we can give you a figure that we are comfortable with. I don't want to take it, we have such and such amount of surplus, and then you say, oh, that didn't pan out to be true. So, am I speaking correctly there, Kevin?
Now, I appreciate you read my mind, but that wasn't a question that I asked. No.
Oh, okay. Well,
No, just a regular report that you give us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just a regular report, not the prediction of the fund balance. I know I did request that last year, but no, I wasn't asking for that.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
No questions or comments on that. Move on to Human Resources.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. For your approval this evening, you have Exhibit 1 under Certified Resignations and Terminations, where the superintendent recommends your approval for those resignations and terminations of professional certified staff.
Madam Chair, I'd like to accept the superintendent recommendation that certified resignation, termination for professional staff members.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. And for the second, Ms. McDaniel. Those in favor of the superintendent's recommendation to approve those certified resignations and terminations for professional staff members, please signify by raising of the right hand.
Add to that with suitable replacement.
That was not part of the motion. So those signify by the raising of the right hand. Those that are in favor of the superintendent's recommendation. Do this again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Opposition? 1. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
if there are no objections, can we go ahead and add with suitable replacement? I think it's understood, but thank Mrs. Hartman for reminding us.
Yeah.
We just go ahead. Okay.
Well, that was the reason I voted against it. So, do that or put that on the record, that's why I voted against it.
Madam Chair, if we need to make a motion to reconsider the vote, having voted on the prevailing side, I would move to reconsider the vote.
All right. Please restate the motion.
And Madam Chair, I move that wait a minute. I move that for the resignations that they are pending us finding a suitable replacement.
Second, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. McDaniel. Mr. Miller, those in favor signify by raising the right hand. Thank you. All set. We'll move to number 2.
Item number 2 are certified recommendations, where the superintendent recommends board approval for the recommendations of certified professional staff members. And exhibits should be 2A and 2B.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation on the certified recommendations.
Second, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. McDaniel. Mr. Miller, those in favor of the superintendent's recommendation, please signify by raising the right hand. Got 7. Thank you. District stipends.
Lastly, this evening, we have stipends for the year 2016-17 in exhibits 3A and 3B, where the superintendent recommends board approval for district-wide stipends for certified, classified, athletic, and band staff.
Madam Chair, this time we make a motion, we approve the stipends in Exhibit 3A. And do we want to do both of them at the same time? I would say 3A and 3B.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Brick. Pastor Jackson. The motion has been made that the superintendent's recommendation be approved for district-wide stipends for certified, classified, athletic, and band staff 2016-17 school year. Those in favor, please signify by raising the right hand.
Are we voting on A and B?
Yes, ma'am, we are. We've got 6. Are you ready to vote, Ms. Hartman? We've got 6 in favor, opposition, or abstention? Opposition?
Opposition, because I requested last year and still haven't received it, the job description of our clerk. Thank you. I want that put on the record, please.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll move on to the board chair report. Among the updates and announcements, Dr. Green has been honored to have received a nomination and approval to serve on the Providence Healthcare Board of Trustees, and I think that's an honor for him as well as for Fairfield County School District, his representation. So we appreciate his willingness to serve. I think the committee is the Community Relations Committee, so we know that he'll go a long way representing himself and us well. So we thank you for that, and I think that's an outstanding. Providence Health, the hospital, basically that whole healthcare system, Board of Trustees.
So it's a board appointment and committee, or just the committee?
A board appointment, and they, I think, have placed him on a committee already,
Okay.
and haven't had a meeting yet.
Okay.
This week, next week.
Congratulations.
We'll move to the board meeting schedule, 16, 17. And that is in there that recommendation is made that we approve that meeting schedule.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve the Board of Trustees meeting schedule for FY 16-17.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Brick and Pastor Jackson. The board meeting schedule shows visits to schools through December and then back to the district office January through August. Those in favor of the board meeting schedule for FY 16-17, please signify by raising the right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Thank you. The upcoming conferences and events. The law conference is the end of August, 27, 28, I believe, and there have been some emails about that. There's a new travel form in your packet that Ms. Brown would like for you to use. Make sure that you get that to her to get the appropriate reimbursement, please. Anything else?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
We had a discussion last board meeting, and we talked about our students and about our senior class, put it that way, and they're on a senior trip. And I know that some of us, has heartburn about that. But I talked to some parents, and one thing we got to remember, and I don't say it in a way that we're 91% freedom to do lunch. And the parents tell me if the school don't do it, there ain't gonna be no senior trip for all children. We got to understand where we at. We're not Fort Mills, where they got 28% free meals. We're Fairfield County. I just wanted to put that statement out there. I understand we always going to be liable, but I feel compelled to say that. And just when we get over next year, I want to marinate, and we can think about it. That's all I have to say.
And Madam Chair, if I may just provide some clarification for the media, this, since she was at the last meeting, she understands. Anytime we talk about senior trip, you know, Mr. Miller is talking about a liability that may be associated with senior trip. The district never pays for kids to go on a senior trip. Okay, the district just organizes, sponsors, we do send chaperones, but if the kids are late to go on the senior trip, they have to pay to go on the senior trip. And so I think there is a misconception when we say the board is approving the senior trip. Sometimes people think, well, it's going to cost $452 for a kid to go on the senior trip. The board is going to pay to send the kid on the senior trip. No, the board is saying we're going to organize and sponsor the trip. And if you as a parent and a student want to pay for your kid to go, then he can go. If you as a parent or a student says, I don't want to pay to go, then you won't go. So it's not that the board is paying to send kids on the senior trip. Just want to provide that clarification.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Ms. Harrison.
Okay. I just want to announce my baby, Malone Waters, she graduated salutatorian in 2009, graduated from North Carolina State. She has applied for a job over in Tanzania, Africa. She will hear from them September 1st. If she gets it, she'll be gone for 2 years.
I'm
sad about that part, but I'm proud.
Dr. Brailsford, did he get the bishop over in Africa? Dr. Brailsford from Bethel?
Well, you need to help her out there.
We're talking about that. Yeah.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
In that line, I guess, you know, if the board doesn't think they're going to sponsor something like that, we do need to maybe give them plenty notice ahead so they can try to get somebody, other group or whatever, to help them out on that, you know, what needs to be done. You know, anyway, I wanted to make that reference. Thank you.
Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn. Pastor Jackson has made a motion to adjourn. Second. Ms. Hartman has seconded. Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you very much.